So I've tried to do this review like 4 times now, and it always kind of ends with me stuttering and stumbling over my words and kind of showing that I'm very bad at speaking despite being a supposed English major. Um, so, hey, it's me, Sean. Um, the movie that I saw last night with my best friend Grant was The Holdovers, starring Paul Giamatti. Um, I saw a fair amount of movies this year. Um, and I'd even say they were very good movies. Obviously, Oppenheimer is going to be Oscar nominated up the wazoo. Um, but I also enjoyed Mario. Spider Verse was very good. TMNT was very good. But I'd honestly say this is my favorite movie of the year. My favorite movie of 2023 is The Holdovers. It's it kind of feels like a throwback to it felt like there was a period from like the 80s to the 90s where we got movies like set in like boarding schools like slash kind of rich kid snob schools, and we get like we kind of see how the snobby rich kid life isn't all that great, and we get the teacher with the heart of gold. I'm mainly thinking of Dead Poet Society. And this movie, kind of like from the trailers, reminded me of Dead Poet Society. It's not as it doesn't get quite as bleak as Dead Poet Society does at times, but that was just what I thought from seeing the trailers, which sold me on it. Like the trailers were done in like a very 80s slash I'd 70s fashion. I'm saying that because the movie is actually set in 1970. So that's probably more so what they were going for. And also, I saw it in 35 millimeter, so it had that grainy kind of quality. Um, I don't know if the original movie was shot in 35 millimeter and then it was converted to, I mean, or it was shot in like HD and converted to 35 millimeter. It felt like there was a lot of clean stuff, like a grainy effect over it, but maybe I just haven't seen as many 35 millimeter movies as I should, or at least haven't seen it in a while. I haven't seen a film actually shot on film reel in a theater in like 20 years, like 10, 20 years. But that kind of helps the movie. It feels like a very old school kind of pull at your heartstrings movie, which you need. We need that kind of movie. I'm a nerd. I will admit it, but it's like it's very it feels honestly really great to kind of have a break from like going to the MCU movies all the time, because this movie was really sticking with me. It's Me and my friend Grant talked about it a long time after we exited the movie last night, and it's a I'd say it's a dramedy. It's a drama with a lot of comedic elements. There's a lot of funny scenes in the movie, but it's never jarring. It's always all the comedy fits the like the comedy never like interrupts a dramatic scene, and it's just the movie, like the main theme of the movie. I mean, the movie's about kids that get stuck having to stay in boarding school over winter break. So very clearly, like the theme of the movie, it deals with a lot of loneliness. It deals with having to pull together with people you thought you could never possibly get along with. And like in some ways, the weird odd coupling going on might actually be like some of the most important connections you can have during a time like that. It feels it kind of feels like the Christmas movie I needed to see for a while, because you have your obviously heartwarming Christmas movies, and we need them during very stressful time period, but also the happiest time of the year. We get all the nice snow and all the cheering music and seeing family together. But this is kind of like, I work at a grocery store, so Christmas and Thanksgiving are very stressful times, and sometimes I don't even want to hang out with people. I don't even want to go to parties after that. So this movie is kind of feels like it kind of like connected to like a weird loneliness I have during the time myself, even though I'm clearly better off than like the kid in this Angus in this movie. He's left by his mom and his stepdad, so he's already got a weird tension with the having a stepdad, and he's clearly the smartest kid in the class, but like obviously a lot of his problems in the movie stem from that weird family issue he has. So he kind of has this odd like frenemy relationship with Paul Giamatti. Obviously, he's the smartest kid in the class, but he's kind of rebellious at times. And Paul Giamatti is the stuck-up, snobbish teacher. Even though, really, like and of course, as the film goes on, we kind of see how weirdly much more similar than they realize. They have much more in common than they realize. But like the theme of of loneliness in this movie, it is kind of expressed through three characters. Of course, Paul Giamatti and the boy Angus, and we also get a character named Mary. And Mary lost her son in Vietnam at the beginning of the movie. So not only is she dealing with that grief, but she's also stuck in a kitchen by herself in the cold of winter. She also lost her husband, fiance. She really has to try to rely. I wouldn't say rely, but like her immediate connections are people. Like, since she's the cook of the school, she doesn't really have a real connection with Angus. And Paul Giamatti, who is very nice to her, he's very sympathetic slash empathetic. Me and Grant also had a debate about that last night. He's very sympathetic towards her. He's very courteous to her, but it's also like those are still kind of strangers to her. So it's three, and also like Paul Giamatti, who is very insecure about the path that he has led in life, despite the front he puts up. Is like, it's three people clearly who have internal problems, who are just kind of dealing with them in very very different ways, eventually coming together. And it's very heartfelt. It's the kind of movie I really needed to see this year. It's the magic of storytelling, really, about people who kind of my favorite kind of somber movies. Is like, yeah, it's got a lot. It's sad. It's about loneliness, but it's also like, it's kind of the power of people like you wouldn't think would work well together, coming together and showing like, you know what, they were very good friends. They had very good dynamic. They stuck together. It's just really good. If there's like one little nitpick that I have, without spoiling much, the movie sort of sets up like Angus and four other boys would be at this boarding school over winter break. And you think like, oh, maybe they're going to have like a little Breakfast Club situation tied in with Paul Giamatti watching after them, and Mary kind of being there as well. But like much more jarring for me to explain it than the movie does a better job at saying it. But it's kind of jarring. It's like a helicopter shows up with one of the boys' parents, and then the four of them go on the helicopter and leave. So part of me wonders if like we even really needed that time with those four other characters up to that point. But those parts were also fun. One of them was a dick, so kind of seeing him like by the time he eventually returns to the movie and him having like weird sunburns on him, that's fun. But yeah, it's just this is kind of like I have talks with my mom from time to time about like Oscar baiting movies about and how like she doesn't agree with the Oscars a lot of the time. This is the kind of movie like where it is mainly just character interactions, but the character interactions are so good. They're very real. They're very funny. They're very heartfelt. They say so much, and it feels. I really hope this movie does get nominated for an Oscar. Hopefully, it gets nominated for Best Picture. I haven't seen a lot of the other big movies this year, other than Oppenheimer, that are probably going to get nominated for Best Picture. But for my money, I'd say The Holdovers not only should be nominated, but in many ways, I think this is better than Oppenheimer. It's just I know this is the kind of drama stuff I like. I don't know how else to say this. Very good very good movies that aren't nerd related are harder to talk about for me. But seeing them are such a refreshing change of pace from constant comic book movie stuff. So it's a balance. Um, I guess if I really want to make it big, I gotta start seeing the real bad movies. I gotta start going, this movie sucks. But I don't really want to do that. Well, I might see some bad movies, but there'll probably be older movies because I do not want to pay for a movie ticket and go into a theater and fucking hate my existence for the next hour to 2.5 hours. So yeah, if you are looking for a movie this time of year, it's very much a Thanksgiving to Christmas to New Year's kind of movie. You see this movie. It kind of it kind of just fits the weird contrasting emotions I have for the holidays. It's like the holidays are great. I love my family, but God, I hate how miserable the holidays can be. But but that's like that's just what I kind of needed this time of year. Just a movie that's like people who overcome loneliness. That's a very good way to say it. It's people overcoming loneliness. So go see it, leave a comment, and hope to. I might see Texas Chainsaw later this week. So take care.